Memory has a strange habit of editing reality. Difficult days slowly disappear while the comfortable moments stay bright and easy to revisit. A relationship that once left you exhausted suddenly looks beautiful after enough time passes. An old friendship feels perfect, even though sleepless nights came with it. Earlier chapters of life begin looking safer than they actually were. The mind is not trying to deceive you on purpose. It is simply trying to protect you from pain by polishing the past until it becomes easier to carry. This is where many people quietly become stuck. Looking backward starts feeling warmer than building something new. Healing slows down because energy is spent visiting places that no longer exist. Growth begins when you accept that memories are valuable teachers, but terrible places to live. Appreciation belongs in the past. Your future deserves your attention far more than your imagination deserves another perfect version of yesterday. There comes a season where loneliness convinces you that returning to what once felt familiar will solve everything. An old relationship suddenly seems worth another chance. Someone who repeatedly disappointed you starts looking different after enough months pass. The arguments become blurry. The broken promises lose their sharp edges. The laughter remains crystal clear. Emotional pain has a way of softening over time, yet patterns rarely change just because time has passed. Honest reflection asks a difficult question before taking another step. Am I missing this person? Or am I missing the feeling of certainty that came with having someone in my life? Those are two completely different things. One points toward genuine connection. The other points toward fear of being alone. Understanding that difference can prevent years of repeating the same painful cycle with a different ending hoped for every single time. Certain places create the same illusion. Walking through an old neighborhood or revisiting familiar streets can awaken emotions that feel incredibly powerful. Suddenly, life appears simpler than it actually was. Forgotten struggles stay hidden while comforting memories stand in the spotlight. Looking carefully often reveals another story. Earlier versions of yourself carried confusion, insecurity, unanswered questions, and worries that have simply faded with time. Every stage of life contains beauty and difficulty living side by side. Looking backward through selective memory separates those two things until only comfort remains visible. Reality has always been more balanced than memory allows. Respect your history without allowing it to become an argument against building a healthier future. Pain often disguises itself as longing. Something inside whispers that going back will repair whatever feels broken today. Unfortunately, unresolved wounds have a habit of following you wherever you go. Changing locations rarely changes internal struggles. Reconnecting with familiar faces cannot replace honest work done within yourself. Happiness built entirely on revisiting old chapters becomes fragile because it depends on circumstances that no longer exist. Peace built through self-understanding travels with you into every new season. This is why difficult inner work matters so much. Once your relationship with yourself improves, the urge to escape into old memories slowly loses its grip. Another quiet trap appears when identity becomes frozen in an earlier version of yourself. Perhaps life felt easier before responsibility arrived. Perhaps confidence existed before heartbreak. Perhaps optimism seemed endless before disappointment entered the picture. Holding tightly to that earlier identity creates unnecessary suffering. Human beings are supposed to change. Experience reshapes perspective. Loss deepens understanding. Failure builds resilience. Growth naturally creates a different person than the one who existed years ago. Mourning that earlier version forever prevents appreciation of who you are becoming now. Every chapter has something the previous one could never offer. Wisdom only arrives through living, never through standing still. Digital life quietly makes this struggle stronger. Old photographs appear without warning. Past conversations remain stored forever. Memories arrive through notifications before you even choose to think about them. A single image can pull your mind years backward in seconds. Nothing is wrong with remembering. The danger begins when remembrance becomes comparison. Today's life starts looking empty beside carefully selected moments from another time. Pictures rarely include sleepless nights, uncertainty, disappointment, or emotional exhaustion. They capture smiles while leaving out everything surrounding them. Judging your present against edited snapshots creates an unfair competition your current reality can never win. Self-respect asks something uncomfortable during moments like these. It asks you to trust the reasons certain chapters ended in the first place. Growth often required painful decisions that were made after long periods of reflection. Distance was created for a reason. Boundaries were established for a reason. Walking away usually happened after many opportunities were already given. Temporary emotion should not erase permanent lessons. The heart naturally remembers comfort first. Wisdom remembers consequences as well. Healthy decisions become easier when both are allowed to exist together, instead of allowing one pleasant memory to erase months or years of unnecessary suffering. Every sunrise quietly presents the same opportunity, whether it feels exciting or completely ordinary. Something new can be built today, or another hour can be spent replaying scenes that no longer exist outside your own mind. Looking backward feels safe because the ending is already known. Looking forward demands uncertainty, and uncertainty makes the mind uncomfortable. Staying inside familiar thoughts creates the illusion of movement while nothing actually changes. A conversation remembered for the 100th time will never produce a different outcome. An old photograph cannot create a better present. Revisiting yesterday over and over eventually becomes emotional furniture. It stays in the room so long that it feels permanent. Real change begins when today's choices become more important than yesterday's stories. Every ordinary decision slowly determines what the next chapter will look like. One honest conversation, one healthy habit, one difficult boundary, one courageous step forward eventually creates a future worth remembering instead of another reason to keep looking behind. Notice how the mind often returns to familiar chapters during difficult seasons. Exhaustion makes old comforts look larger than they really were. Loneliness gives forgotten relationships a warmer glow. Frustration convinces you that earlier years carried fewer problems. Memory becomes selective whenever the present feels heavy. The challenge is recognizing this pattern without automatically believing it. Ask yourself a better question. Am I remembering reality, or am I remembering relief? Those are not the same thing. Relief simply means escaping today's discomfort for a few moments. Reality includes everything that happened, including the reasons certain chapters reach their natural ending. Holding both truths together creates balance. Looking honestly at the past allows gratitude without creating an emotional prison that quietly steals today's opportunities. One difficult habit deserves attention. Waiting for motivation before taking action sounds reasonable until months quietly disappear. Inspiration comes and goes without asking permission. Meaningful progress grows through consistency instead. A walk taken when enthusiasm is absent still strengthens the body. Reading 10 pages on a quiet evening still expands the mind. Speaking honestly during an uncomfortable conversation still builds stronger relationships. Tiny actions repeated long enough become stories worth telling later. Grand transformations rarely arrive in dramatic moments. They are built through ordinary days that nobody celebrates while they are happening. Every meaningful life eventually becomes a collection of small decisions that looked almost insignificant at the time. Another trap appears when personal identity becomes attached to an earlier version of yourself. Perhaps there was a season where confidence came naturally. Maybe ambition burned brighter. Maybe friendships felt easier. Holding on to that version forever quietly creates disappointment, because growth changes every human being. Different responsibilities create different strengths. Earlier chapters taught enthusiasm. Later chapters often teach resilience. Earlier years may have offered freedom. Later years often offer wisdom. Comparing every new season against an idealized version of another one prevents appreciation of what exists today. Your present self deserves the same curiosity once offered to the younger version. Growth is not betrayal. It is evidence that life continued shaping you, instead of leaving you exactly where you started. Pay close attention to what receives your attention every single day. Hours invested in replaying old conversations produce very little except emotional fatigue. Hours invested in learning, creating, exercising, resting properly, or strengthening meaningful relationships leave behind something tangible. Attention behaves like water. Whatever receives enough of it begins growing. Feed regret every day, and regret becomes stronger. Feed discipline every day, and discipline quietly reshapes your future. Feed gratitude every day, and ordinary moments begin carrying unexpected richness. The direction of your attention eventually becomes the direction of your life. Few decisions carry greater importance than deciding where your mind spends its time. Healing often feels disappointingly ordinary. No music plays, no dramatic breakthrough announces itself. One afternoon arrives where an old memory hurts a little less. Another day passes without checking someone's profile. A familiar place no longer pulls at your emotions with the same intensity. Those quiet victories deserve more respect than dramatic emotional highs. Recovery is usually measured through reduced suffering rather than increased excitement. Looking for constant emotional fireworks can cause steady progress to go unnoticed. Give yourself permission to appreciate gradual change. Lasting transformation usually whispers instead of shouting. Creating meaningful experiences requires accepting that not every day will feel extraordinary. Some mornings begin with low energy. Some evenings end without obvious achievement. Ordinary days still matter because ordinary days build extraordinary years. Preparing healthy meals, keeping promises made to yourself, showing kindness during difficult conversations, finishing work despite lacking excitement. Those moments rarely receive applause. Over time, they become the invisible foundations supporting a deeply satisfying life. Character grows inside routines much more often than inside dramatic turning points. Respect the ordinary. Great lives are built there.